Hi there, this is Cambridge House Live. My name is Jonathan Roth. I'm joined now by Ross Beaty. He's a legend in the mining business. He is the chairman of the board of Pan American Silver, the second largest silver company in the world, and he's also the executive chairman of Alterra Power. Thanks for joining me.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.
The global economy here, everyone is really concerned about where we're at. From your vantage point, how do things look?
Well, I'm always bullish. I've done very well being bullish, and I'm always going to be bullish. I'm always the kind of glass half full sort of a person. That's just who I am. I'm a risk taker. I'm an entrepreneur. That's just how we're built.
Right.
So, you know, I always look at the positive side of the world, and I'm not afraid of what's happening in Europe. Europe is almost irrelevant for my business, which is metals, resources, energy, minerals. They're not consumers. They don't really influence the world too much. I look at Asia. I really look at China. China's the bull in the China shop here, literally. That's the market that I'm most concerned about. So when I see all this noise about China slowing down, China having a property boom, having a bust, then I really say, is it true or not? And then I say, even if it were true, does it matter? And I look at what China's doing in the metals industry. They're buying like crazy, and they're still buying, and you see that reflected in the price. Copper is still $3.30 a pound. That's very, very high price, and inventories are going down. That means the Chinese can't find anywhere else to buy the copper that they need for their growing economy. And even if China is only 6 or 7% growth, it's on a very high base relative to a few years ago.
Sure.
Like it's a 6% in China means a lot more today than 30% did in 2000.
Right. So the fact that we saw a bit of a dip in the first quarter of 2012 down to 8.1%.
Who cares?
In the grand scheme of things, it's
a speed
irrelevant.
bump. It's a speed bump. It's not irrelevant. It is something to watch. It is something to be concerned about.
Sure.
But it's not something the government can't do something about. The government of China has immense horsepower to fix a structural problem in banks. It's not broke like the American government is and a lot of European governments. China's government is in very strong shape. It has $2 trillion or $3 trillion of savings in US dollars it can deploy. It has a very, very good capital structure in China. The banks themselves might not, but the national government does, and it's got a lot of room to do the kind of quantitative easing that it did in 2009 and that the US government did very successfully.
Right.
So I don't panic.
Right. I'm
concerned, obviously. I don't see a reason to think this is the end of the party. The party's been going in my game now for 11 years. That's a long time, typically. But I've always maintained we are in a super cycle. We're in a secular bull market driven by these once-in-a-lifetime things that are happening in Asia, of people moving from villages to cities, becoming manufacturers for the world, and now the big question is, will they not be manufacturers to themselves? And if they are, and if they will, this market's going to be strong for another 10 or 20 years. Or I go to Indonesia, 220 million people, all trying to have better lives, meaning metal consumption, energy consumption. I go to Brazil, I go to the Middle East, and everywhere you go, you see growth. So it's very hard for me to be a bear.
Given what's going on from your vantage point.
Absolutely.
Now, back in April, Citigroup came out and they said that potentially the super cycle is over. That's what they said. I mean, are they right, wrong? I mean, clearly from your point, you think they're wrong.
I think they're wrong,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Now let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the United States. Obviously it has to be concerning somewhat. We see a fiscal situation that's somewhat dire. To what degree are you worried?
One man's fish is another man's fowl. I say, bring it on in a certain sense, because the more financially risky they are, the better for gold.
Gotcha.
And I love gold. It's a wonderful metal. I think gold has great legs.
Silver.
And silver. Silver's poor man's gold. Silver's got a good future because there's financial stress in the world. People are looking for alternative investments because they're worried about their currencies devaluing or their countries going topsy.
Right.
And they want to buy some gold. And so that's what's been driving gold to take it from $250 an ounce to $1,600 an ounce. Can it go higher? Of course it can go higher. Are the problems in the world resolved right now? No. They're still worrisome, especially in Europe. The U.S. is actually kind of looking pretty good right now. It's looking a lot better than it was a year or two ago.
How come? What's fueling that?
Just optimism? I think the U.S. companies are doing better.
Right.
The dollar is more competitive. Manufacturing industry is stronger. There's a lot of spare capacity. Inflation is low. Interest rates are low. It's a very, very good market for in manufacturing, for example, to prosper in. And the companies, corporate America is in pretty good shape, debt-wise. Markets-wise, it's in pretty good shape. So the governments might be in tough shape, the counties, the municipalities, But the companies themselves are in pretty good shape, and that really is a driver of the American industry, because it is fundamentally a free market system in the States compared to, say China or say Europe, which has got a lot more government involvement. So when the governments are in trouble there, you really have to start worrying.
Sure. Okay, I want to touch on some of the companies that you're involved with personally. I think there's something hot, new off the presses here. You're involved with Polish Copper. What's the story?
No, I'm not.
What's the story with that?
Well, I am and I'm not. Of course I am, but that's a private company.
Okay.
So that's not something that's in the public domain, and it's not going to be in the public domain for a while. So
okay.
Thank you very much.
We move that off the table.
That's top secret. So
okay.
We really shouldn't be talking about that on television.
Okay. What about Lumina Copper? There's a story there in terms of what's going on with Argentina. We've seen a move towards nationalization.
Yeah.
It's got to be frustrating for you.
Frustrating isn't the word for it.
I mean, what explains what they've done there?
Every morning I wake up and look at myself in the mirror and wonder why I have any hair left. It's so frustrating.
You're doing pretty good stuff.
It's so frustrating. We have this deposit made in heaven. It's one of the world's greatest copper deposits. We just discovered it a year and a half ago. We've been drilling up a storm. We've drilled 100,000, 150,000 meters there, 9 drills. And we have lots of interest from every one of the major copper companies in the world, every single one of them, to buy it. And that's our business plan, is to sell the company. We sold 5 other companies in that world.
The same model.
Same model. And so Lumina, and it will be sold. It will be sold. It's such an incredible ore body, it will be sold. But in the middle of this process, and we were going to do that this year, that's been our very public strategy to sell the company this year. Right in the middle of that, Argentina decides to go protectionist and try to have currency controls, and then they went and nationalized YPF, the big oil company that's owned by the Spaniards. And you just cannot get a worse political investment climate than you have in Argentina today. And it's such a tragedy, because it's such a great country in so many other ways.
What explanation have they given you for that? I mean, I'm sure you've been sitting down with government officials to find out. Yeah,
I have.
What do they say?
It's frustrating. It's just like you're talking.
You're not speaking the same language at all.
You're not speaking the same language. They have a different political ethic, a different political credos. And I don't agree with it. It's their country, it's not my country. I respect it because it's the government of the day. They're actually popular, they're democratically elected. They have the Senate, the Congress, and a majority of the governors on their side, so they can do anything they want.
Right.
The fact that I don't agree with the politics, it's irrelevant. I've got to suck it up and live with it. It's frustrating, yes, because it has significantly devalued
your company.
The value of my most wonderful, beautiful project that should be worth X, and instead it's worth X times 50%, which is painful. It's painful.
Yeah.
In fact, sorry. The company isn't just worth X today, or in a normal market, this company would be worth about 20% of X. X is its full value. If X is, let's net asset value at a normal discount. This is the stream of cash flow it's going to generate over the resource's life. And so the company today is trading for about 10% of X. 10%. Which is really a deep discount. It should be trading for 30 or 40%.
Sure.
So it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But
do you see, is there a light at the end of the tunnel, or
watch this space.
Right. Okay. And we will see what happens.
Yeah,
now, what about Altera Power? Obviously, it's a really interesting business, and in that case, I guess you're dealing more with regional governments as opposed to national ones.
So Altera Power, of course, is my clean energy company that I started a few years ago, and then last year we joined forces with Plutonic Power from Vancouver. So we're the largest independent power producing company in BC right now. It's a big company. We produce a lot of electricity, and again, the market just says, who cares? The company is generating lots of cash. It's got 6 producing assets, 2 in Iceland, 1 in Nevada, and 3 in BC. We're in fabulous shape, and the market just says, I don't want to know about renewable energy today. I don't care about growth. I don't care about electricity that comes from wind and hydro sources or geothermal. It's just one of those cycles. And what we're doing in the company is we recognize, first of all, that our stock is really, really cheap, and we're just saying, the market will be right in due course. The real value will come, and in the meantime, since we can't affect today's value, we're putting our heads down and we're building assets. We're developing our growth strategy, we're doubling our production, we're doing another wind farm in BC, we're doing another hydro project in BC, we're doing an expansion of our geothermal project in Iceland. All of that will create more fundamental value, and really value is built over the long term. We're not that interested in what happens day to day in the stock market. That's really not the thing to be focused on if you're trying to build a big, strong, beautiful company. It's the long-term view. We've got a wonderful management team. We have the financial resources to do what we want to do, and we're executing. So ultimately, the market will reward us when this cycle changes from a bear market to more of a normal or bullish market in this sector.
Yeah.
It was bullish a few years ago. That's gone. It will come back.
But I mean, look, you're a company that's already, I took a look at your books yesterday. You're
Yeah.
already generating a heck of a lot of revenue.
Sure we are.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, as you say,
we're in very
you're in good
stable shape. We're not. The nice thing about renewable energy or any kind of power business that's based on free sources like wind and earth's heat, this business, and this is a beautiful word, it goes forever.
Right.
Okay, this is a permanent cash-generating business.
Yeah.
Permanent. Once you get these plants up and running,
Yeah, constant.
forever. It's a true utility, a true cash generator forever. It's not, unfortunately, with the metals business and the oil and gas business, it's a depleting industry where every day you eat that which you live by. You eat it, and it's gone, or else you have to replace it. Clean energy, our company is in stable shape and will be like that forever. And now we're just going to try to make it bigger and better as we develop further projects.
Now, I know earlier this morning you were speaking at a panel and talking about what's happening in the junior mining sector, and you were really clear on this fact that there are a heck of a lot of great companies out there. Obviously,
Yes.
a lot of them are
Yes.
really undervalued.
Yes.
But you are a huge booster of this space, and I think there's, rightfully so in some cases, it gets a lot of criticism.
You know, if it's a bear market, it's a funny thing about people. If companies go up in price, they think they're great investors. But if a company goes down in price and people lose money, they think the company is at fault.
Is responsible.
That's human nature. But unfortunately, in a bear market like this, people are blaming this company or that company for losing the money, when in fact it's nothing to do with those companies. They're working hard. They're in many cases well financed. They're doing everything right to create wealth. But when you have a market like this, it's a bear market or a road bump in an otherwise bull market. Everything goes down. The tide's going out. Everything, all ships are high and dry. Don't shoot the messenger. The best value in the last 2 years for these companies here is today, when nobody loves them. That's
Right.
when people want to buy.
Do you think they have further to go, or you think there's potential for?
There's always further to go. I can't pick a top or a bottom, but I know this. It sure says as heck isn't the top.
Sure.
So in terms of value, a couple of weeks ago, I'm buying myself. I bought some shares in my silver company last week. I bought 300,000 shares because I just think it's almost free. The company's generating a good dividend. It's got an enormous amount of money in the bank, about $800 million in working capital. No debt. It's generating cash every day. It's got a great growth platform. And the stock's cheaper today than it was 5 years ago.
Wow.
It's just nuts. So it's a wonderful
Tremendous opportunity.
Buy when there's fear, when nobody else wants to buy, is when you make your money. Sell when everybody thinks the world's going to the sky and nothing can go wrong. That's when you want to be hitting the sell button.
Now, I want to talk more on a personal level with you in terms of what you're doing with your foundation. You're involved, you've done a really unique partnership with the David Suzuki Foundation, trying to prevent the grizzly bear hunt. There's that aspect, but there's also the aspect of global warming, and you have some really strong opinions about that.
Well, I'm basically an environmentalist. I'm a geologist. I've spent all my life working in the bush. I'm a nature kind of guy. I like hiking and camping and kayaking and all that stuff. That's just what I do, and it's my interest. So I love nature, and I want to preserve and protect it. That's why I'm a greenie. I've done my clean energy company, of course, because that's part of the package. Trying to be an entrepreneur to build a business that produces clean energy is to me very cool, because you can do good things for the environment and you can make money for people, investors, and so it's
the best of both worlds.
It's the best of both worlds, and I'm really excited about doing that, and it's worked so far. I've made lots of money in my life, and I have given lots, but I plan to give a lot more to my foundation, which is called Sitka Foundation. And it's my family foundation, and what we're investing, our project, and it's really investing. We're not giving money away, we're not throwing it away or burning it, we're trying to invest it in projects that are logical. I'm on the board of the Nature Trust. We put a lot of money towards Nature Trust, which buys small parts of ecologically sensitive land. We're trying to help preserve the Pacific salmon. Pacific salmon's in a lot of stress right now. I'd hate to see the Pacific salmon have really serious problems when I'm alive, because then my kids can't fish and they can't enjoy these beautiful, beautiful animals. So we're doing that. We're working with the Suzuki Foundation on a few fronts. We're working on a lot of things, and it's all to the same end. We're trying to make our local and national environment not deplete and be diminished and decreased in my lifetime. If we can do that, that's great. And of course, this is going to last beyond my lifetime, which is even better. So it's good. I like it.
Good. Well, listen, there's so many more things we could talk about, and we'd be here for another half an hour, but I really appreciate your time and look forward to the next
You're
time.
very welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate your time.
Okay.
So.